Hello, hello, hello. I am Evan Cormier. Welcome to the first installation of the best podcast. Today is the day that I have been waiting for since I was utterly embarrassed in last year's mock draft. If you remember, I created a 15 pick mock draft. I tweeted it out. I dubbed it the I Told You So mock draft 2021. It got likes, it got comments. I heard it from people. And then I proceeded to get the first two picks correct and not a single one after that. It was humiliatingly bad. I subtweeted my own tweet saying, quote, I'm never making a mock draft ever again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I lied. I'm a big fat lying liar, and it is my astute privilege to bring you, the viewers, Evan Cormier's I Told You So mock draft 2022. But before we get into that, I want us to take a look at a couple of my takes from last year's mock draft.
Mac Jones, I wrote it down. I actually wrote down A plus 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 plus. Mac Jones, I'm in love with that pick. It's not just the Alabama fan. I mean, trust me, this dude's gonna pan out. Right here. Monday, May 3rd. This dude is going to pan out.
You heard it, folks. Monday, May 3rd, 2021. This dude is going to pan out. Flash forward, April 27th, 2022. He's a Pro Bowler as a rookie. He led his team to the playoffs. What more do I need to say?
I hear Trey Lance. Trey Lance is dope. I really like Trey Lance. He's a project though. You know what I mean? Justin Fields. I'm probably like the biggest Justin Fields hater in the world. So all year, blah blah blah. Justin Fields this, Justin Fields that. I'm not impressed with Justin Fields. I don't think mentally he's there. Zach Wilson, biggest question mark. Could be dope. Probably not gonna be dope. I don't think it's gonna pan out too well.
So there are the other quarterbacks in the draft. T-Law has not been given an opportunity yet. Zach Wilson was spot on. Once again, I am a genius. I said he was going to be good, and he was good. I said he was going to be bad, and he was bad. He sucked, he excelled, he hit, and he missed. I was completely correct. I said Trey Lance wasn't ready. He wasn't. I said he's a project. He was. Now, I already admitted to being a massive Justin Fields hater. I still am a massive Justin Fields hater. I said he was a bust. Let's take a peeksy pie at the stats from last year. 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So, the way I see it, I was 5 for 5 on my analysis, 5 for 5 on my predictions. So, with that out of the way, once and for all, we are ready to get into the I Told You So mock draft 2022. Going at number 1, Evan Neal, the tackle out of Alabama. He's the best tackle in the draft, maybe the best offensive player in the draft. He was the most productive tackle in college football the past 2 years. I'm scared to my core that the Jaguars are going to find a way to mess this up. I feel like they're going to sip the Kool-Aid. Everybody's saying it's rat poison. You know, Nick Saban, it's rat poison. Everybody's saying, oh, you got to do something exciting because it's the number 1 pick. No, you don't. You got Trevor Lawrence last year. Please just get somebody who will protect him for the next 15 years. Evan Neal is a starter in the NFL for the next 15 years. Don't take the rat poison. Get a smart player. Go with Jordan Davis if you want to, be exciting. But if you want to win football games, which I'm not sure the Jaguars want to do, if you want to win football games, you got to go Evan Neal. Going second to the Lions, I have Aiden Hutchinson, the defensive end out of Michigan. He's a Detroit guy. He's got Detroit values. They got that psychopath of a head coach over there who wants people to run through walls for him. And this dude, he'll do it. He was the most productive defensive end outside of that cat from Alabama, but very productive. He's very polished. He's solid. He'll come in, make an impact immediately. Aiden Hutchinson's a dog. He's a psycho. He's got a great motor. He's polished. He's NFL ready. He's a good pick. Third overall to the Houston Texans, I have a guy by the name of Ikem Ekwonu. I really hope I'm going to say that right. I'm just going to refer to him as Icky. That's what everybody else calls him. He's a tackle out of NC State. He's got a lot of upside. He's big. He can move. He's like Mekhi Becton size. He moves well. He's fluid. This is a good pick for the Texans. A lot of people have him as tackle 1. I think Evan Neal has proved that he's tackle 1, but just like Neal, he'll be a starter for a long time. Fourth, I got the Jets taking probably my favorite player in the draft. I think he's the most exciting player. A corner by the name of Ahmad Sauce Gardner. He was a 3-year starter at Cincinnati. He stands almost 6'3". He's quick. He's fast. He's fluid. He's productive. He was perfect. He was perfect. He's going to be fun to watch. The Jets are really bad. They really need a guy who will be solid. And I feel like I'm forgetting something about Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Oh, yeah. He did not allow a touchdown in 3 years at Cincinnati. Not one time did one opposing football team throw a touchdown on Ahmad Gardner in 3 years of college football. That is the most absurd stat I've ever seen personally. That's definitely the most absurd stat to ever come from a corner. Probably the most absurd stat to come off of the defensive side of the ball. Never allowed a touchdown. He's 6'3", quick, fluid, good. He's probably the best player in the draft. Now, the first of the Giants' 2 top 7 picks. They got 2. The first one, it's going to be the third tackle I've got going off the board, Charles Cross. He's a tackle out of Mississippi State. Again, he's a big guy. He's been productive at Mississippi State for a while. He's one of the 3 tackles in the top 5, which is kind of absurd, and I recognize that. But you look at the 3 teams, they are 3 awful, terrible, horrible teams that are consistently awful, terrible, and horrible. So, build from the bottom up. I got them going I got them going line here. Smart pick. I hope they do it. I won't be surprised when they don't. But finally, a little breath of fresh air. Weight off of our shoulders. Carolina. I have them addressing the most blaring issue with the Carolina Panthers since 2015 when Cam Newton forgot how to throw a football. Their quarterback play has been abysmal. It has been terrible. It has been utterly unwatchable. They've had Cam Newton off of 19 shoulder surgeries. They've had Teddy Bridgewater. Will Greer was in there for a while. They had an XFL guy. Every single one of their quarterbacks have worn gloves. Just terrible, terrible, terrible quarterback play of recently. I have them going Malik Willis. Now, I'm not entirely sold on Malik Willis. I don't think he's that great. But you got Matt Rule there, who's very much still a college offensive coordinator. He's the head coach now. He could take a guy like Malik Willis, who's kind of a project, kind of an athletic, big arm, big talent, could be very exciting, could be very productive, but he needs a head coach or an offensive coordinator like Matt Rule who has an imagination and can get him doing things that most quarterbacks want. He excels when the pocket collapses or he's on the run. So I think Matt Rule could potentially create an exciting system around Malik Willis. I'm not entirely sold on him, but I think Carolina has to address the quarterback problem that has been there for almost a decade. Okay. The second one of the Giants picks comes at 7, and this is where I have the Giants having some fun. So, number 5, Charles Cross. I think it's a smart pick. Now, they've got a fan base that is utterly depressed, watching them be below average every single year. They got to put butts in the seats. They got to give the fans something to be excited about. I got them going with Trayvon Walker. Now, I have no idea what happened in the last week, but Trayvon Walker's draft stock has gone through the roof. It's I thought he was a mid-tier guy. The last week or so, people were talking about the Jags taking him at 1. So I got the Giants sipping the Kool-Aid, taking Trayvon Walker at 7, and he was a part of that Georgia defense that was just the most absurd stats ever. I think it was 12 games in, they were allowing 6 points a game. It was the most statistically dominated defense of all time in college football. He's 6'5", 270, runs a 4.5 flat, crazy cone drill, super athletic, freakishly big. He's going to be good. He wasn't as productive as an Aiden Hutchinson was, but he's got a lot of upside. I think this is a good pick. Number 8, the Falcons. They have to go receiver here. Calvin Ridley is dealing with whatever Calvin Ridley's dealing with. They went Pitts last year. They got to go receiver this year because other than Calvin Ridley, I cannot name a single wide receiver on the Atlanta Falcons roster, the entire roster. I have no idea who's going to catch footballs for them next year. They got to go receiver, but I don't think anybody knows what receiver they're going to take. There's 5 first-round talent guys. I have them going Garrett Wilson at 8. He's the second part of the tandem at Ohio State with Olave, and I think he's the kind of guy who opens the playbook. He can do it all. Olave is more of a deep threat. Jamison Williams a deep threat. Garrett Wilson goes over the top. He goes over the middle. He can run every route in the playbook. I think for a team that literally does not have a wide receiver, I think a guy like Garrett Wilson, who's consistent and sturdy, is a home run pick. And now, I can hear it. I can hear it in my earbuds. I can hear everybody screaming, Kayvon Thibodeau. What about Kayvon Thibodeau? Here we go. Kayvon Thibodeau at number 9, Seattle Seahawks. Now, I was a big Thibodeau guy coming into today. Or not even into the draft. I was a big Thibodeau guy. Then the combine happens, and you're like, wow, some of these other dudes, they can play. Thibodeau, certainly not as productive as a Hutchinson. He hasn't really shown up anywhere. He came in, had a dominating freshman year, then kind of fell off the face of the earth. Said he's preparing for the draft. Now the draft's here, and nobody's heard from him in a while, but he's one of those guys who's just naturally good, freakishly athletic. He's really solid. He's like a prototypical defensive end build. And if he gets some good coaching, maybe develops more pass rush moves, he can be a guy with tremendous upside. Right now, I'm scared. I feel like he might come in and be like a middle of the pack kind of guy, but he could pan out big time. And now the second of the Jets' top 10 draft picks. Earlier, I had them taking the best corner in the draft. Now I have them going out there and getting the best wide receiver in the draft, Jamison Williams out of Alabama. So he's the second receiver I have off the board. He's definitely better than Olave. He's definitely better than Garrett Wilson. Drake London's like a freak athlete. He's like 6'5", whatever. But this dude, Jamison Williams, is going to be the last in the long line of insane Alabama receivers. You got Julio, Amari, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jamison Williams. They're doing something at Alabama in the receiving room, and you can't miss out on an Alabama receiver. He's faster. He might be the fastest guy in the entire college football right now. I know at the combine there's like some dude from New Mexico State running a 4.2. Doesn't matter. You put Jamison Williams on a football field, nobody's outrunning him. Nobody's catching him. He's a freak athlete, a great receiver. He can run every route in the book. He's the best receiver. If Jets go Gardner, Jamison, they had a good draft. Now, for the first ever draft pick by the Washington Commanders, which the name is growing on me. At first, I was like, Commanders is kind of lame. Name's growing on me. I love the colors. I love the logo. I love the name. I liked football team, but I don't know. I get it. Commanders is growing on me. Anyways, I got them going Derek Stingley Jr. Now, had this been 2 years ago, coming off an insane freshman year, Stingley would have been going where Gardner's going now. But flash forward 2 years, an injury and an opt-out later, we haven't really heard from this guy in a while. He is probably the biggest question mark in the draft, but massive upside. He's 6'1", he's built, he's the definition of a lockdown corner. You look at the Commanders, they had the very worst cornerback room in the entire league last year. There's no way you could put $1 million in front of me and say name one Washington football team cornerback. I would be very upset. So I got them going Stingley. You got to get a corner here. He's the biggest question mark in the draft, but for a forgettable team like the Commanders, I feel like taking a risk early in the draft is what you want to do in the front office. And here go the Vikings. They have an absurdly loaded. You know what? I thank God every day I wake up. I say, thank you, God. Thank you for not making me a Vikings fan. Because I watched Red Zone, and you'll be seeing these updates all throughout the game. Vikings 27-8, Vikings 27-14. Their offense absurdly loaded, putting up so many points. And then there will be a final score, and they will somehow lose a game like 45-42 week after week. Their defense cannot stop the opposing team's offense from scoring a touchdown if it was killing them. It was insane. They were losing games like 38-36, 32-28. Just, if they take one offensive player this draft, I will be sick to my stomach. So, that being said, I have them at 12 taking Trent McDuffie. He's a corner out of Washington. He didn't go to like a big SEC school, so he's not as known, but he's very productive, 5'11", great range. He's a good zone corner. They run a lot of zone defense at Minnesota. Terrible, terrible defensive team. Minnesota has to go defense here. I think Trent McDuffie's the best corner on the board right now. They got Patrick Peterson on the other side. No real cornerback two on that team, so I think Trent McDuffie could fill that spot exceptionally. Texans back on the board. I got the Texans re-entering the fun. They're going to get Kyle Hamilton. Hamilton's the second best defensive player in the entire draft, in my opinion. I see him coming in having like a Minka Fitzpatrick-esque impact on the team right away. He can do anything. For a Texans team that is as forgettable, they probably have the least talented roster. I think they're right there with the Giants. Just a terrible roster. Now you can bring a guy like Kyle Hamilton in who can do everything. He tackles, he covers, whatever. You can build a lousy defense around this guy. So now you go out and you get Icky, 13-year starter. You go out and you get a guy like Hamilton. He'll be starting for 10 plus years. Now you have something to build around. You're not going to be good, but at least you have two solid, it's very smart, two solid players going forward. Nothing but great things to say about Kyle Hamilton. 14th, the Baltimore Ravens, the team that imploded like no other team. Now, I was looking it up. A lot of people are like, Ravens need to go quarterback. Ravens need to go quarterback. As if they don't have an MVP quarterback on their team. I don't get why people are giving up on Lamar Jackson. Regardless, I got them going Jermaine Johnson here. He's 6'5". He's mangy. He's kind of dirty. He's kind of like a Ravens D end. He's when you think of a Ravens guy, you think of just like a mean guy. Kind of get the Jermaine Johnson vibes. He had a great year on an awful Florida State team. I think he had 12 sacks. He had a good combine. The Ravens have had an incredibly forgettable pass rush the last like 5 or so years. Fills a big need. Other than cornerback and tackle on that team, I think this fills the biggest need. But if I look at the corners and the tackles I have on the board right now, I think Jermaine Johnson's the best player. So I got them taking Jermaine Johnson 14. And the last pick in Evan Cormier's I Told You So mock draft 2022 is going to be Jordan Davis. Now, I don't know if I got Philly taking Jordan Davis or if I just couldn't let myself not talk about Jordan Davis today. But this dude, his draft stock is plummeting, and I have no idea why. He was incredibly productive. He was on that insane Georgia defense. He's like 9'8", 214 million pounds, and he plays football well. I don't get it. I don't get why people are overthinking this pick. He is literally a boulder. You can play the three. You can put him right in the middle. You can put him at nose. He's not going to move. He plays well. He's a run defender. I don't get why everybody's like got his draft stock plummeting. Also, Fletcher Cox is like 98. He just signed a 1-year deal. He's done soon. Philly could really use a D tackle. I think this is a home run pick if he falls down to 15. And there you have it. There's the final result right there, hopefully, if I put it in correctly. Couple things that could mess up my... Last year, I made the mistake. I was very, very out there. I made the mistake. So this year, I'm going to acknowledge a couple things that could mess up my entire draft. First, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do not trust the Jags at all. They're awful from top down. Ownership, management, coaching, players, the weight room staff, the water boys, the people that park the cars in front of the stadium. The Jaguars are a terrible organization, and I do not trust them to make a good pick at 1. I feel like the stigma around the first overall pick is going to get to them. There's no true first overall guy this year. There's no guy that you're like, wow, that dude's the best. I think they got to go smart here. I don't think they will. I think they should. This could be doomed from the first pick. If they don't go Evan Neal, I'm done. The whole thing's done. Anyways, number 2, the New Orleans Saints. So the Saints are at like 18, and they need a quarterback. They got Jameis Winston, terrible. They got the dude who wears the gloves, Taysom Hill, terrible. They need a quarterback. They could get Kenny Pickett at like 18 or wherever they're at. But I've seen a lot of people talking about them trading up, and Sean Payton, their head coach, he's the kind of guy who's got the kahunas to do it. So I could see him trading all the way up to get like a Malik Willis, even though I don't think Malik Willis is that great. But if the Saints trade up, take Malik, or whatever they do, it could ruin my entire night. Finally, the Seattle Seahawks at 9. It's less about the Seahawks, more about the 9th overall pick. I've heard their fielding calls. People are coming and making offers and stuff. For a team like the Seahawks, who really are not that good, I could see them turning the ninth pick into like two mid-round teen picks, addressing the offensive and defensive needs later in the first round, getting some capital for that ninth pick. Because Pete Carroll, he's done it time and time again. He'll trade down. He doesn't care. So if the Seahawks end up trading out of the ninth pick, that's bad news for Evan Cormier. And there you have it, folks. With that being said, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Please enjoy draft night. It is the best night of the year. Thank you for tuning in to the best podcast. I've been your host, Evan Cormier.